Have you ever finished a book and, like, the characters just wouldn't leave your head?
I know exactly what you mean.
You keep replaying their choices, their struggles, even after you've closed the book. It's like they've become part of you.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly the kind of book we're diving into today. Bonnie Garmus's Lessons in Chemistry.
Oh, a great pick.
And it was you, dear listener, who put it on our radar. Now, it is fiction, of course, but it's brimming with characters and ideas that feel so real. So real, in fact, that they spark all these reflections on, well, on our own lives, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the beauty of good fiction, isn't it? It holds up this mirror to
Exactly.
our own experiences, our own world.
And that's what we're going to do today, a total deep dive into this world that Garmus created for us. Our mission, if you will, is to really understand these main characters,
Right.
their motivations, what makes them tick, the obstacles they face, and of course, to unravel those big themes that she so skillfully weaves throughout the story. And we can't forget the chemistry itself.
Mm.
We'll explore all the clever ways she plays with that concept. And ultimately, we want to understand why this story resonates so deeply with us and what it leaves us pondering long after we finish that last page.
Sounds like a plan.
So, ready to jump in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, let's start with Elizabeth Zock.
Yeah.
She's our main character, a brilliant chemist. Right from the moment you meet her, you're struck by her intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
But almost immediately, you also see the sexism she's up against in this very specific time and place, Southern California in the 1950s and 60s.
It's so blatant.
Oh, it is. And I don't know about you, but that scene with the admissions committee after her, let's just say, forceful disagreement with Dr. Myers, the one involving the pencil.
Right.
Oof, it hits hard, doesn't it?
It really does. And what strikes me is that Elizabeth's drive isn't about fame or recognition.
Yeah.
It's pure passion for science. It's about this deep need to have her intellect acknowledged. Like, think about that incident with Calvin and the beaker.
Mm,
It wasn't ego that made her insist on being named on the research papers.
yeah.
It was about staking her claim, her rightful place, in a world that's constantly trying to dismiss her because she's a woman.
And that really speaks to the broader context, right?
Absolutely.
Women in the workforce back then, their professional contributions were often seen as secondary to their gender. It was a huge uphill battle just to be taken seriously. And it makes you think, even today, how much has really changed?
It's a question we have to keep asking.
And the obstacles Elizabeth faces, they just keep piling up. I mean, you have Dr. Donati's absolutely disgusting behavior. Then she gets pushed aside on the amino acid project after doing the groundwork for something way more groundbreaking.
Mhm.
And then the ultimate blow, being fired from Hastings after Calvin's death just because she's pregnant. I mean, talk about societal constraints. It just lays bare the absurd limitations placed on women then.
It's a stark reminder, really, of how far we've come and yet how far we still have to go.
It's true. But even in the face of all this, what I find so inspiring is how Elizabeth reacts. Oh, yeah.
She doesn't crumble. She takes it all in stride. Think about her approach to motherhood.
It's pretty unique.
It is. She's reading scientific texts to Madeline, her daughter, and turning their home into a lab. It's not your typical image of a stay-at-home mom from that era.
Not all.
She's nurturing a future scientist. She's not letting societal expectations define her or her daughter.
Exactly.
And then there's Supper at 6, this cooking show she ends up hosting.
It's a bit ironic, right?
It is. This brilliant chemist on a cooking show.
You wouldn't expect it.
But she doesn't just follow recipes. She's weaving actual chemistry into her cooking. I mean, how cool is that?
It's brilliant. She's turning everyday tasks into these learning opportunities, sneaking in science for her viewers.
It's subversive in a way, isn't it?
Oh, totally. She takes this traditionally female domain and turns it on its head.
Mm-hmm.
She's not just giving cooking instructions, she's empowering people.
Hmm.
She's challenging those narrow expectations placed on housewives. It's like she's saying, hey, you're capable of so much more. Absolutely. And we can't talk about Elizabeth without talking about her grief. The way Garmus portrays it after Calvin's death, it's heartbreaking. The initial shock, those calls with the mortician, so clinical, so detached. And then finding Calvin's shirts, those everyday reminders of his absence.
Mm.
It's so raw, so real.
And you feel it, right?
You do. You feel the depth of her loss and how it shapes her going forward. It fuels her protectiveness over Madeline.
That fierce independence.
Exactly. Like,
No.
remember Frask's comments about how she needs a lawyer and some babies? Her reaction is so telling. It's like, no, I'm going to do this my way. I don't need anyone dictating my life.
And that strength is so central to her character.
It is. Okay, so we've talked a lot about Elizabeth. Let's shift gears to Calvin Evans.
Okay.
Now, he's this renowned chemist, seemingly at the top of his game, right? But he carries this weight, this past that's really shaped him. He was an orphan. His parents died in a train accident when he was young. Then his aunt passed away, and he ended up in a boys' home.
It's a lot to carry.
It is. And you can see how his passions for chemistry and rowing, they become these anchors for him. Even that little detail about choosing Cambridge in England over Harvard because of the rain in Seattle,
Yeah.
it reveals so much about him, doesn't it?
It does. Like, he has this quirky, specific side beneath that scientific exterior. It hints at a vulnerability that his past created.
Exactly. And then you have his early interactions with Elizabeth.
Oh, they're hilarious.
They are. The whole beaker incident, their sharp banter. It's almost comical looking back, knowing the deep connection they eventually form.
Right, because their bond wasn't based on those typical romantic tropes.
Mm-hmm.
They were drawn to each other's minds. They recognized and respected each other's intellect, and that formed the foundation of their relationship. It's really refreshing.
It is. Their love story is so unique, so unconventional, and tragically cut short.
Yeah.
They were more than just lovers. They were intellectual equals, true allies in a world that often tried to diminish them. It's that line in the book, solved from the get-go.
I love that line.
It's perfect. But then, of course, Elizabeth refuses Calvin's proposal, and that moment is crucial for understanding her character.
It really is. It shows her commitment to her independence and her awareness of the societal pressures on women, particularly in science.
Yeah.
She didn't want her achievements to be seen as a consequence of Calvin's success. She refused to be a footnote in his story,
Mm-hmm.
which is unfortunately something that happened to a lot of brilliant women back then. Their contributions were overshadowed or attributed to the men in their lives.
It's true. And even Calvin, despite being deeply in love with Elizabeth, has his own struggles. That whole jinx hypothesis he develops about enzymatic adaptation and his fear of Elizabeth dying, it's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. It shows how his past losses have instilled this deep fear, almost a superstition.
Yeah.
He tries to control the uncontrollable. It's very human, actually, to try and find patterns, explanations for tragedy, especially when you've experienced so much of it.
It's true. And then comes the tragedy of his own death, so sudden and unexpected. Running with 630, that ordinary leash, it's just a gut punch.
It emphasizes how fragile life is, how things can change in an instant.
And the later revelation about his estranged father, the bishop who was searching for him, it adds another layer to his story, doesn't it?
It does. It deepens that sense of loss that he carries with him, even before his death. It makes you think about the unseen burdens people carry.
Okay, let's talk about Madeline Elizabeth and Calvin's daughter. Or, as her birth certificate famously states, Madzot.
I love that detail.
It's classic Garmus, right?
So good.
But Madeline, she is such a bright and observant child, clearly a product of her upbringing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, being exposed to scientific discussions, complex vocabulary from such a young age, knowing almost 400 words before kindergarten,
It's incredible.
it's a testament to Elizabeth's dedication to nurturing her daughter's intellect.
And treating her as an equal, right?
Exactly. Like, even those questions Madeline asks about molecules during her mom's cooking show. They're so innocent, yet so insightful. It shows how deeply ingrained science is in their lives.
But of course she faces challenges, particularly at school. You have Tommy Dixon's comment about them being poor, the unconventional family tree she presents.
Which, by the way, I loved.
So good. But it highlights that clash between her unique home life and those more traditional expectations.
Right. It shows how even those raised outside of societal norms can still feel the pressure to conform,
Mm-hmm.
and how sometimes those norms can be limiting and even hurtful.
Yeah. And her bond with 630, it's just heartwarming.
It's pure loyalty.
It is. And that accidental naming of Mad on the birth certificate, such a perfect Garmus touch, right?
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It shows Elizabeth's distracted state amidst her grief, the overwhelming nature of new motherhood,
Yeah.
and how life doesn't always go according to plan.
Exactly. And as Madeline grows, we see her trying to understand her parents' lives, asking the librarian for those old Cambridge yearbooks.
She's searching for her roots.
She is, and especially through her interactions with Reverend Wakely, and then her reaction to learning the truth about Elizabeth being fired from Hastings, it's like pieces are falling into place for her.
She's piecing together this legacy of strength and resilience.
Yeah.
It's powerful to witness.
It is. Okay, let's not forget 630.
Oh, 630. He's a character and a half.
He is. This stray dog becomes such a central figure in their lives.
He's the embodiment of loyalty, isn't he?
Yeah.
He represents that unconditional love and companionship, sleeping by their beds, protecting Mad. He's like this silent guardian.
And so intelligent. He learns all these words, understands complex commands like fetch, and even in that critical moment, nitroglycerin.
Right, like he's almost another scientist in the family. And that backstory, the hints of his past trauma, make him even more endearing.
Oh,
You
yeah.
see his protective instincts, like shielding Elizabeth from the groundskeeper, or his actions during the bomb threat at the
Yeah.
studio.
He's a hero.
He is. And running alongside Calvin to work every day, it was like he was part of their routine, part of their family unit.
He really was. Okay, then we have Harriet Sloane, Elizabeth's neighbor and eventual friend. Their first meeting, remember how Harriet makes assumptions about Elizabeth based on Calvin's fame?
Classic societal expectations. We judge people based on who they're with, especially if that person is prominent or powerful.
It's true. But Harriet has her own struggles.
Oh,
Her marriage to Mr. Sloane, let's just say, isn't exactly fulfilling. He's, well, not the sharpest tool in the shed.
to put it mildly.
And she's clearly unhappy, highlighting that, sometimes appearances can be deceiving.
Right. You can have this seemingly conventional life, but be deeply unfulfilled.
And it contrasts so well with Elizabeth and Calvin's relationship, which was anything but conventional, but incredibly fulfilling.
Exactly.
But over time, Harriet and Elizabeth become genuine friends. They support each other.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is. Harriet helps with Madeline, joins the rowing team, and you can see her blossoming.
She comes into her own.
She does. And their different views on men and women, it leads to these great conversations, right?
Yeah, it allows Elizabeth to really articulate her own beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And Harriet's role in uncovering the truth about Hastings, wow, that's true friendship, standing up for what's right, even when it's hard.
And then there's Walter Pine, the TV executive who gives Elizabeth her show.
He's an interesting one.
He is. Their visions for Supper at Six were so different in the beginning.
Night and day. Walter's all about entertainment, appealing to the masses, while Elizabeth is focused on education, on substance. It's this clash of commercialism and integrity.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is how he comes around.
He does. He sees Elizabeth's sincerity, her dedication, and he becomes a champion for her.
And you see those flashes of his own regrets, particularly with his daughter Amanda.
Right.
It creates this unexpected connection with Elizabeth. Like they both made choices they wish they could change. It humanizes him, you know?
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about all these amazing characters, their individual stories. But Lessons in Chemistry is so much more than that, right? It tackles some really big universal themes.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Let's start with sexism and gender inequality. I mean, it's everywhere in this book. It's like a constant undercurrent.
It is. And it's so deliberate on Garmus's part.
Like, it's not subtle. She wants us to see it, to confront it. You have all those instances Elizabeth faces, being mistaken for a secretary, Dr. Donati's awful behavior, Hastings taking credit for her work. It paints a very clear picture of the barriers women in STEM faced, especially back then.
And sadly, still face today,
Yeah.
though maybe not as overtly.
It's true. And it's not just in the workplace.
No.
It's ingrained in societal expectations. Even Elizabeth's own mother emphasizes the importance of marriage for a woman's happiness.
It's that whole internalized societal pressure.
Right. That limits women's choices and aspirations.
Exactly.
But Elizabeth refuses to conform. She won't take Calvin's name. She uses Supper at Six to challenge those expectations. It's a powerful message of resistance.
And I think that resonates with readers, especially women.
Hmm.
That idea of defying expectations, of forging your own path.
Absolutely. Okay, another big theme, love and partnership.
Oh, yeah.
Elizabeth and Calvin's relationship is so central to the story.
It's unconventional, but it's so real.
It is. It's built on mutual respect, on intellectual connection, on shared passion. They're true equals.
And their love is described as actual chemistry, which I think is so fitting.
Yeah.
Because their relationship is like a successful chemical reaction. The right elements coming together under the right conditions, creating this strong and stable bond.
It's a beautiful analogy, and it contrasts so well with Harriet's unhappy marriage,
Right.
highlighting that love and partnership can take many forms.
Exactly.
And we see other forms of love, too. Elizabeth's fierce love for Madeline, her bond with 630, the friendship that develops with Harriet. It shows that family isn't always traditional.
It's about connection. It's about finding your people, your support system, however unconventional it may be.
And then there's grief, this ever-present shadow that hangs over the story. Calvin's death is so sudden, so unexpected, and has this ripple effect.
It shows the complexities of grief, how it can manifest in different ways. You see Elizabeth struggling with the initial shock, the pain, the slow process of acceptance, and you see how Calvin's own experiences with loss shaped him.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that everyone carries their own burdens, their own unseen struggles.
And Elizabeth's journey of navigating this grief, all while raising Madeline and fighting for her place in the world, it's incredibly powerful.
It's inspiring. It shows that even in the darkest moments, there's strength to be found, resilience to be tapped into.
Absolutely. Another big theme, challenging societal norms. Elizabeth, her entire life is a testament to this, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
From her career choices to her approach to motherhood, she constantly pushes back against expectations.
She refuses to be put in a box.
Right, like she even uses supper at 6 to challenge those traditional views on women's roles, encouraging her viewers to think critically.
And Madeline, too. Her upbringing, her questioning nature, it all ties into this theme.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that we don't have to accept things as they are.
That we can question, we can push back, we can create
Yep.
change.
And hand in hand with that is the emphasis on knowledge and education. It's at the core of Elizabeth's character, isn't it?
It is. She believes in the power of knowledge, in the importance of critical thinking, and she instills that in Madeline.
Yeah.
She's constantly teaching, whether it's in the lab, on her show, or at home.
And it's so powerful because it contrasts with the ignorance and prejudice she often encountered.
Right. It's like she's saying knowledge is the antidote to ignorance.
And that's a message we need now more than ever.
Absolutely.
Lastly, the theme of found family.
Oh, this is a big one.
Elizabeth, Madeline, and 630, they create their own unconventional family unit.
And beyond that, there's Harriet, Walter Pine, even Reverend Wakely. They all play a role in supporting Elizabeth. It shows that family isn't always about blood ties. It's about those connections we forge, the people who have our backs no matter what.
So true. Now let's talk about chemistry itself. It's obviously central to this story.
In so many ways.
On a literal level, it's Elizabeth and Calvin's shared passion, their profession.
Right, it's their common ground.
Hmm.
They speak the same language. They understand each other's world.
But Garmis takes it further, doesn't she? She uses chemistry to describe the spark between Elizabeth and Calvin, that line, actual chemistry. And it was no accident. It's just perfect.
It is. It suggests this inherent compatibility, this instant connection that's almost predestined.
Mm-hmm.
Like their personalities were designed to react with each other, to create something new and powerful.
And she weaves the language of chemistry throughout Elizabeth's life. The way she talks about molecular weight, chemical bonds, even her approach to cooking. It's all infused with science.
It shows how deeply ingrained her scientific perspective is.
Yeah. It's not just a job. It's her way of seeing the world.
We also see the chemistry she develops with Madeline through their experiments and explorations, and the chemistry of all those human relationships in the book, the friendships, the romantic connections, even the negative ones.
It becomes this metaphor for human interaction, how we react to each other, how we bond, how we clash.
So with all these complex characters, these powerful themes, and the clever use of chemistry, why do you think a book like this resonates so much with readers?
I think it's because it tackles those very real struggles faced by women in STEM, and it does so in a way that's both engaging and thought-provoking. Elizabeth's story is compelling, it's relatable, it exposes the absurdity of those societal barriers, those limitations placed on women simply because of their gender.
And it encourages us to challenge those norms, to embrace our individuality.
Exactly.
Elizabeth's refusal to be silenced, her determination, they're so inspiring.
And the power of storytelling cannot be underestimated.
Yeah. It makes those complex issues accessible. We're not reading a dry textbook here. We're experiencing Elizabeth's journey with her. It allows us to connect, to empathize, to learn.
Absolutely. And ultimately, it leaves us with this sense of hope, right? That
Yeah.
things can change, that we can create a world where brilliance is recognized regardless of gender.
That's a powerful message.
It is.
Yeah.
So there you have it, folks. A deep dive into the world of lessons in chemistry. A story about love, loss, ambition, and the power of challenging the status quo.
It's a reminder that there are always chemical reactions happening around us, in society, in our personal lives.
And it begs the question, what reactions do we need to examine more closely? What needs a catalyst for change?
Something to ponder.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the book, what resonated with you, what chemical reactions in your own life you've been thinking about. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those minds bubbling.